Hi everyone, I'm your host Caroline Redekopp and welcome to Between Worlds, exploring alternate realities. And this weekend I want to look into the commercial and traditional origins or realities of Easter, of course being the Easter weekend. And that led me to then research, well, what is the traditional meaning of Easter and what is the commercial meaning of Easter? And I have the symbols behind me, as you can see. So let's just talk about the traditional meaning first. Well, most of us know that Easter is a Christian holiday. It is referred to as Pascha or Resurrection Sunday. This is celebrating the resurrection of Jesus, the Son of God, on the third day after his burial. And according to the New Testament, his death followed his crucifixion by the Romans. And then 3 days after he was buried, he awoke and lived again. And this could, I mean, there's so many different ways you can think about this. This could be reincarnation, you know, that we don't die, that the human body dies, but the spirit lives on. I mean, there's so many ways to take this. But I just thought it was fitting to talk about it because it had so much significance in the channel session that I had as well. And then I want to talk about the commercial meaning of Easter, so the commercial reality. So the Easter bunny and the hare, and this surprised me again because I had no idea until I looked this up today, is said to have originated in Germany as folklore from the German Lutherans in the late 1600s, early 1700s, not sure about it. The rabbit and the colored eggs were used as symbols of the rebirth of Christ. Colored eggs and sometimes toys were given to children to determine if they were good or bad prior to Eastertide, which is the Easter, that's the term they use for the Easter season. And it's very similar to the commercial symbolism of Santa Claus. This leads me to the reason I bring this all up during this Easter weekend is to bring attention to the light and love that is needed on this planet right now. And this is the reality of moving into, again, the fifth density. And I feel that the consciousness and essence of the message Jesus brought to this world so many years ago needs to be felt and heard today. Someone gave me once a rock and said, I want you to look at this rock and you tell me what you have in common with this rock. And this is a material thing, right? And I'm looking at this rock and I'm thinking, okay, well, we don't look at all alike. And I just kept on staring at it and staring and going, okay, is there a riddle to this? I have to figure something out. And so I'm looking again, looking some more, getting frustrated. And I don't know what happened. If I just stopped looking and I started to feel, instead of trying to think with the mind, I started to feel. And suddenly I couldn't see that rock anymore. And I'm just being like catapulted right back in that moment. I could not see the rock in my hand anymore. It was beautiful. All I could do was feel the love that emanated from that rock. And I was instantly connected. Instantly. I couldn't physically see it in my hand anymore. Probably because, through the tears. I was so emotional because it was beautiful. This incredible feeling of love and connectedness that I felt. And that's when it dawned on me, oh my gosh, that's how we are connected. Through the opening of the heart. That's it. I mean, it's so simple. But yet, seems so difficult. Because I knew that in that moment, and my life has not been easy. I've walked away from it. I've come back. I've walked away. I've come back. And I'll probably walk away again and come back. Who knows? Hopefully I'll stick with it this time. And it's just so simple. We are all connected. Everything, the chair, my dog, the pillow, nature, insects, the virus. We're all connected. We're all the same. God is everything. And if God is everything, so are we. So are we. Wow. So then I started thinking, okay, what is the message this weekend? It's the resurrection of the message, of the essence of what Christ represents. And we have an opportunity this weekend to awaken, to resurrect that Christ seed within us, to open our hearts to a completely different reality, to this fifth density, which sees us balancing out our masculine with the feminine. Again, I believe that we have been led and controlled by a masculine energy force. And when it's one, so if it's one, then we are out of balance, because I believe within us we have the masculine and the feminine. And I'm not talking male, female gender here. I'm talking the masculine principle with the feminine. And to me, it's kind of like I see it as the masculine is the mind, which comes up with the idea. And the feminine is the heart, which fuels the mind, the idea. And that leads to creation when those are brought together. When those are united, that is when we're able to create and co-create. Okay, so if we have been living a reality that is mostly based on the masculine, then we are out of balance. And that is why there is a need to bring back the feminine, which to me is the heart center. The emotion, however you want to see it, it's to open our hearts to compassion. And it's hard to explain because we refer to it as love, but we have each a perspective of what love means. What exactly is love? I mean, it's hard to imagine. For me to explain what I felt by holding that rock and feeling that love. I mean, I wasn't in love like romantic love. I wasn't in lust with it. I didn't have a sexual desire with this rock. It was this beautiful connectedness of everything, like a peace, a bliss. It's so difficult to describe until you have experienced it for yourself. You will never know. But how do we get there? Okay, I've mentioned that through meditation, but it's literally, I mean, I didn't meditate to connect with this rock. I was just looking at it. But something in me released a block. I let go. I surrendered, maybe. Surrendered to what it could possibly be. I surrendered perhaps my mind, an old paradigm I had believing that the rock was not part of me. In that moment, did I just release that old belief and that allowed me to see? I don't know what happened. But it does say, ask and ye shall receive. And again, it's not about, well, I'm going to ask for something tangible, like I don't want to get into capitalism here, you know. It's asking ye shall receive. So we all know we have free will. We've been given the opportunity to make choices. Some would argue that that freedom has been taken away from us because we have been under the influence of outside forces and control and manipulation by mainstream media, government officials, the powers that be that hold us, you know, in debt, indebted, enslaved. A lot of that could be true, and most probably is in many ways. But there's also so many other beliefs I want to bring forward, like the belief in, did I choose this? Did I choose this reality before I came here on earth to experience this hardship, this enslavement? Did I choose that? Well, if I have free will, I mean, ultimately you have the choice. Perhaps that was the blueprint I chose to experience when I came here. And that could be a collective choice in the world to experience this reality. But I think we have evolved to then realize, okay, we've learned and experienced it. We've learned some lessons, experienced, and we have evolved to now want to live in a different reality, which we then move from 3D to third density to fourth density, which other channelers have referred to as the conspiracy theorists, who were able to challenge the status quo. And back in the day, it could have been rock and rollers, right? And then to eventually, when you start challenging, that breaks the old structures and the foundation that we used to believe in, because now someone is actually taking a pick and chipping away at that old foundation and exposing us to another fifth density, which again is an enlightened density. And I feel that that is awakening more to our spiritual self. Our spiritual self, not just the human side, the ego, but the spiritual side of us. Again, it's like, again, the union of the masculine and the feminine coming together. So let's go back to, again, so to surrender to it, right? And what I mean by surrender, it's not to be led around by, oh, I have to believe them and I have to believe them. No, believe. This is why it's so important to know yourself and to trust in your intuition and your guidance from within, because the God seed within you will always have the truth. And it comes, if the message comes from a loving space and the message is of love, then you know it's the right way to go for you. It's the right choice for you. But it is to surrender and invite it in, because we do have that choice. But once you make that choice, you no longer have to be trying to make that choice in every single thing that you do. Like, you don't have to try to be kind. You don't have to try to be nice. You don't have to try to be compassionate. You will come from a place of love and light and mindfulness, because you will have opened up your heart, you united the two, and when you're in union with yourself, then what you bring forward is an enlightened soul. So you won't have to try to be. You will just be. The stone doesn't try to be love. It just is. Just like me. Just like you. Someone mentioned too that we had to embrace or investigate the darkness in order to get to the light. And that may be true. But I prefer to see it this way. Because I don't need to get down and dirty in the dirt. There's no need. I have to allow it. If it comes up, I have to allow it to be released. I don't want to hold it in my body anymore. So if it comes up, allow yourself to process it however way you want. If you need to cry, if you need to yell and shout, if you need to say a prayer, and whatever. Do what you need to do to release it. Allow yourself to process it, or else it's just going to stay in there and cause pain. Release those wounds. But you don't have to live in it, or figure it out, or wonder why, or how, and analyze. Because the more you release and make space for light and love, it's like the light and the love sheds a light on that darkness, but you won't be caught up in the darkness because you will be looking at it from a different perspective. But if you're not here to look at it, then what happens is if you get into the deep and the dark, you get stuck in it. And then you're kind of defeating your own purpose of moving into that fifth density of lightness. So remember that. Try to allow yourself to. We will be, as a collective, releasing more and more stuff because we have to shed the heaviness. And the heaviness comes from energies that we've taken off in our energetic field from trauma and pain and wounds. And I mean, this could go back for centuries. You know, if you believe in reincarnation, I mean, you bring that stuff with you as well that you have to release in order to move into a lighter density. So we may end up being confronted to events and situations in our lives that we have repeated, and we have an opportunity to do something different from a place of love and light, which can transmute that event and finally release that cycle or programming or whatever you want to call it. So I want to talk also about, to get to the really nice stuff too, when you surrender to the divine, and I feel that we are slowly moving out of the dogma of religion into a more spiritual existence, because it is more self-governing and it doesn't have the contradictions and the hypocrisy of the text that may or may not have been tampered with. You know, and let's face it, even with my channeling, I'm going to project my understanding of what these words mean. You may look at it and see something completely different. So imagine when the texts were coming in, or the teachings, how it can be misconstrued along, you know, over the years, or even at that time. So that's why I'm a little hesitant I'm trying not to get into the religious aspect of this, but more into the message of the Christ consciousness and that seed of divinity that is within all of us. And to say that I have had numerous situations where I have experienced this incredible divine light and love, and you cannot explain it in the language we share on earth. We just cannot. I just will not do it service, but I'll try. When you ask or invite divinity into your life, it is immediate. Immediate. And it's not to come of a place of begging, because then you're saying you're not worthy, but you are the same. We are all the same. There is no hierarchy. Really, there is none. We're all the same. You know, we talk of even hierarchy of angels, and I go, I'm a little hesitant with that too, because if we are all connected and we are all the same, then you are an ascended master already. And you're the person just trying to learn. We are all, period. And this is why we can't also, when corruption is revealed, is to not pour our hate. And it can be difficult because, you get in an argument, you just right away your instinct is, ugh, right? We're human. But it's to remember that that's the kind of energy you're going to put out there. Anyway, I'm digressing. I got to get back on track here. I wanted to give you another example of when you invite it in, it comes immediately. This happened to me when I was in my late 20s. I had suffered from the age of 13 with severe menstrual cramps since the day I got it. Lucky me. And so bad, they were so bad that I would end up missing days every month at school because I was in so much pain. I would be writhing in bed, holding my stomach in so much pain. And there's nothing that anybody could do about it. I would just have to literally go through it for a few days, and then it would pass, and then I would return to my life, my normal life. And I dreaded every month that I had to go through this. And there was one time I even ended up in the hospital because I was out with a girlfriend at the time. We were out partying, and it came on, and I wasn't home. I couldn't even get home. And literally the ambulance had to come and bring me to the hospital and deal with my pain there. It was embarrassing. Anyway, I ended up meeting this woman who worked with me, and she brought the message of God to me, and again, Christ consciousness to my attention, and told me that no matter what I asked, I would receive. And to believe in miracles. And I was like, yeah, I know we're told that, but, sure. Okay. So I took it to task. One night I was in bed and the cramps started and I was in severe pain. I was rocking back and forth in the bed. And at that one moment I thought, okay, let's see if this works. And I was almost like daring God. As if challenging is the word. And saying, okay, yelling it out there in a kind of prayer. Yelling out there, if you do exist, and you want to prove yourself that you do exist, then get rid of this pain. Why do I have to live with the pain? Why? Get rid of it. That's what I demanded. I challenged God to prove to me that could be done. Now, you have to know that through the pain, I'm kind of yelling this out because I'm in so much pain. And then as I stopped yelling, finally, I realized that my pain had subsided. And I didn't equate it to the prayer or the challenge because that's how the pain would work. It would come in cycles, right? It would come, it'd be so strong, I could barely take it. It was almost like childbirth, having childbirth every few, and then it would subside, and I would be okay for like an hour, and then it would come back, and I never knew when it would come back, and this would just repeat for like 3 days, and so when it subsided, I didn't take note of it. I just thought, oh yeah, we'll wait until the next hit, the next peak of pain. And then it didn't come. And I eventually fell asleep, so I'd forgotten all about it. The next day came, and then I thought, okay, I feel better. But sometimes, I'll be in pain for the longest time, and then I'll wake up one day and it'll be done. So I thought, okay, well, maybe it's already done. I'll have to wait till next month to find out if this really worked. The next month came, no pain. The month after that, no pain. Months after that, no pain. Years went by, no pain. It never came back. So... yeah. I had to believe. I had to believe. I had no choice. I challenged. I got my answer. So I believe. I believe in the divine. I believe there is a God. Hard to describe again, right? We want to put an image to God, and like a he. God is a he. And you just can't. You can't even imagine what this divine energy, vibration, frequency, whatever it is. I don't know if we'll ever really know until we've crossed back and returned back to source. But just know it's available. It's, and I feel like that's what this weekend is all about, is to remind us to open, to wake up, to resurrect in our Christ consciousness again. And that this light and love is alive today. It's here. We need it now more than ever, and to embrace it. All right, and that brings me to my next channeling session, which is filled with light and love. Okay, and again, I want to preface this channeling session by saying that every single time I do one, even when I meditate, I always, when I close my eyes, ask. I surround myself in God's light and love. And, it's interesting when I say that too. It's when you're in a place of love, there is nothing to fear at all. So if there's nothing to fear, there's no need for protection. When you think about it. Pardon me. But I feel good doing this. It makes me feel good to know and to feel confident. So I will do it for myself. Doesn't mean you have to. So the image I got was that of a gray being. And I have to admit, it looked like a little gray alien. Okay. This is not something I normally see. And I cannot prove, and this is another thing too, can I prove who is speaking with me or communicating with me and that's exactly what they look like? Nope. I can just tell you, right? So I want to let you know, I don't want to pretend that, it came from the voice of God. I mean, if we are everything, this would be God too, right? Wanting to show it in this form for a reason, because maybe it will speak to someone. And I'm not going to try to give any more explanation than that. This is how I felt when I saw the image, that we missed each other and our connection. I became extremely emotional, again, like it was a homecoming greeting, like we were emotionally hugging each other and so happy to reconnect. And this is what I asked. I wish to give a message to the world. What do we need to know? And this is what I heard. The power of love. Your world will be okay. And then I felt as if I was being held, my hand was being held as if in comfort. And then I saw a vision of a fire burning in the distance, and it was like an explosion. So if you can imagine a world, and I'll hopefully get a picture or a video to show this if I can find something similar, but it's like the world. So I'm here, and at the globe, and across on the outer edge, almost like a flash, almost like the aurora borealis, a flash of flames coming up. Orange, gold, and yellow. Tall flames. That's what it seemed like to me. Almost like this big explosion. It covered much of the world's surface, the reflection, but it didn't feel like the world was on fire. It was just this shooting energy of flames. And then it was explained that it was an energy pulsating brightly. So I think I was being told that don't fear, like it's not like the world is going to suddenly explode in a fiery flame, like what we've been shown in the movies, right? That's not the case. It's almost like this energy of, and I'm not sure the significance of the orange, gold, and yellow, but this energy of this light is coming in, and it's just going to be so vibrant and beautiful. And I did get the message. It is time to create what it is that you want in your world and in your reality. What will be the foundation? What will it come from? What will it be created from? From fear, from judgment, from blame, from shame? The only way to know what world you wish to create is to be in a frequency of love, to come from that space. Invite it, ask for it, sit still, listen for it. When you connect and you feel the emotion bubbling up, and imagine how this world will or would look. Is it filled with spending more time with your children? Is it filled with romantic moments with your loved one? Is it filled with creating and sharing and laughing and walking out in nature and smelling clean, fresh air, helping each other, being kind? It is important to remember this time, because when you go back to your lives, you may be tempted to return to old habits. And then it was quiet for a while. And then all of a sudden the words came back. How do you commune with nature? That was important. So what is our relationship with nature? And that can have so many meanings. What relationship do we have with our natural self, which to me is the spiritual self? And we blend with our body to experience on this planet. So I want to believe that this channeled message was a reminder to let me know that this frequency is where the power is to transmute or change the world from what some might look at in a duality sense as a darkness or corruption or negative energy or any kind of language that you want to use in that way. That in order to cleanse it, it is through light and love. And that, if we can focus on that or invite that in, then the darkness or the corruption has no place to go. It just kind of disintegrates, because if collectively, and I'm trying to think of this on a bigger picture, if collectively we're all moving into bringing in the feminine and the masculine within ourselves, a union between the mind and the heart, then collectively we are creating a reality that will reflect that union. But if that union was encouraged to be separated, then that is why we have been living collectively in a reality, in a 3D reality, where we have polarity, where there is good and evil forces. Many people believe that we are in a spiritual battle right now, and we are. It is kind of a battle, because it probably will feel that even within ourselves, right? Having the dark night of the soul. It's when your belief systems that you've been living for many, many years is suddenly challenged, and someone kind of It's like the egg. Cracks open that egg and it starts to crumble. Right away, you want to grab for the glue and glue it back together and put it back together because that is what you know and it feels safe. And it's better to be safe in this than to venture out into this unknown space that promises you a better life, but you don't know that for sure. There's no guarantee. And it's an unknown factor. So you may not want to choose that. Because believe me, when your own belief systems are challenged, you will want to, it may feel like, I'm not saying you will. It may feel like it's a scary thing because it's challenging something that you've had deep conditioning in for a long time. So don't blame yourself. Don't be angry at yourself. It's okay. And please, other people who can see this now, try not to make someone else feel badly because they can't see that. Just step back and let them go through this process unless they ask for help. We can't be shoving it in people's faces. So again, I'm just bringing this up for conversation and to open up that egg this weekend, if we want to use the symbolism of that. Because this weekend is a perfect time, again, for just resurrecting that love, that Christ consciousness, that seed of the main message was of light and love. So I think that's all I have to say. So I'm going to leave you with that. And instead of a meditation today, I actually want to do a prayer. If you're interested in inviting that in, then continue listening to me. And if not, you can turn it off. It's no biggie. I won't take offense. But I just thought, why not? Let's invite this in right now. So close your eyes if you want to join me. Just take a few breaths. And I just want to say that we surround ourselves in God's light and love. And we ask at this time to invite this Christ consciousness, the seed of Christ and God, of light and love, into our hearts. And we ask that our masculine and our feminine be united and balanced within each of us. And that collectively our world's masculine and feminine energies are reunited. I'm also going to take this opportunity to spread love and light and healing to all those who have been affected by the virus. And to send light and love to the families who have lost their loved ones due to the virus. And I definitely want to spread light and love to the emergency workers who have been working tirelessly for those affected. And I also want to spread light and love to the virus. And may it be transmuted. So that it no longer carries with it the cellular makeup of harm, of bringing harm to someone's body. And I also want to say a prayer to everyone who is celebrating this Easter weekend, that they get a chance to be connected to their loved ones in spirit and physically, if not by touch, but at least be connected in other means, in love, and that we come out of this with more awareness and open hearts. And a new appreciation for nature